Welcome to the Real Estate Operator Podcast. My name is Steve Olson. I am joined today by another Olson, not to be related, but maybe that will change in the future. Who knows? Welcome to the show, Bill Olson. Before we get into it, I want to give a little bit of props to Bill because I've seen from an execution standpoint, something that I know a lot of agents really want to start doing. They really want to go all in on, but every agent that I talk to, it's all like, well, what about this? And what about that? And the camera and the microphone and the light and the content and which platform and how long and what's the call to action? What's the hook? What's my profile? There's all these things that people get stuck in. And Bill, I remember we were back on a webinar with Reel a little while ago, and we were talking about a strategy similar. You may have already been doing this at the time. Maybe you were just starting. I don't have the time frames exactly right. But today I want to talk about the power of organic content and then just the art of continuing to go, and more importantly, a strategy that I think that can be taken in any market at any time for any reason, like whether you're doing 100 deals a year, one deal a year, you've been in the business 15 years, or this is your first year. In fact, we'll get to this later. If this is your first year in the business, this would be the only strategy that I would do right now, and I would start right after you watch this podcast. So, Bill, no relation, Bill Olson, no relation to Steve Olson for now.
Olson twins.
Olson twins, that's right. We were known as the Olson triplets going to school because I had two younger brothers, and we all look, we're all really tall. I'm actually the oldest, and I'm the runt of my family. They're much taller and bigger than I am. And everybody called us the Olson triplets. Probably still to this day, they still do it. So welcome to the podcast. Bill, you were in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes.
You've been in real estate how long?
Since 2015. So 9 years.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And then is the journey been like 45 degrees up the entire time, or walk me through a little bit about what that journey's looked like for you so far?
That's how it's supposed to go, right?
That's right.
It was like 45 up, 45 down, 50% up, 90% down. It's pretty much the trajectory that everyone has that's been in it this long. Right.
And you know what's funny is I think that actually what keeps it, I think that keeps the market honest. I really do. I mean, if this market always went up, if the business was always better year over year, I mean, we've had years where I've sold hundreds of homes, and the next year, like in 2000, I don't know, maybe 10 or 9, I had just sold hundreds of homes, and the next year I'm like, I'll just kind of do this on my own, don't want to do this. And I took a big dive, and that really affected me, right? But I think going through those transitions of like up and down is how we learn, right? So I want to make sure everybody knows that when they're watching this, it's not like we have a tendency of believing that like, oh, well, Bill started then and every year has just been double. And, here we are to 10 gazillion transactions a year. And, I'm not like Bill. I wish I could be like Bill. And so I'm just going to hang up and not do anything. What type of market do you serve? Clientele, product type, all that stuff, average sales price?
Yeah. So here's pretty different than a lot of markets because we do have like a historic market and we're coastal. So I mean, for me, my average price point over the past year is between 500 and 600. But we go down to 300 and up to 22 million. Just kind of depends. I kind of have been focusing on the like 6 to $1 million range recently. Would like to get higher, as everyone would, but it helps me make really good money and still have time for my family without having to sell 10 gazillion homes a year.
I mean, like, look, $1 million check is just as easy to cash as a $10,000 check, right? It's the same work. I should just go for it. I ask you that from a perspective of, because again, people are going to listen to the strategy that you're going to talk about today, and they're immediately going to go to like Bill's different, or his market's different, or his price is too high, or it's too low. And I'd be interested to hear your insight once we get into this. I think that with the exception of maybe Beverly Hills or Bel Air or some like crazy who's who market, like this strategy we're going to talk about would work in any market at almost any price point. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I think it would even work in like those Beverly Hills type markets. We'll get into this, but anywhere where there's development, this strategy works. Good.
Okay. And when you say development,
Simple.
just so, because I went to Arizona State, so you got to dumb it down. What do you mean by development? Just so we're clear.
Any city that's growing. And if there's developments, projects, road projects, something is always going on in your city, no matter where you live.
And we'll get into the meat in a second. Where I live, we're a coastal community too here in Southern California. And we have these two signs, up the road that say AVR. And that's like a big, I would call it like, not necessarily master plan community, but like it's a neighborhood tract on top of a bunch of neighborhoods, right? And we have these true signs that have like these little water features in front of them. And probably once a month, kids will go and they'll pour like laundry detergent in it. The whole thing will foam out and piss the whole neighborhood off, right? It's kind of like the funny thing that happens in Carlsbad. Well, they're taking the signs down and they're taking the water features out. And something that small and redoing those corners, and this is not a major intersection. It's like 2 lanes, a turn signal, all four ways, and that's it, right? Nothing crazy. And there's a lot of drama around this, right? Like people care a lot more about what's going on in your market than I think you are giving them credit for. And I think because we're in the industry, and we think because we have all this knowledge and we're paying attention to what's going on and more importantly, what's not going on, that we must think like, oh, only real estate agents care about this and other people care about this, but only when they're thinking about moving. And I think what you're going to show today is it's not true. Like it's like a lot more people care about how, where, and why they live than we think they do. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are like, hey, we're like a few minutes into this and I still didn't know what the strategy is.
Yeah.
Bill, if you had to describe the green screen strategy that you were using on Instagram right now, how would you describe it from like 1,000 feet in the air?
So just like I was telling you right before we started, is basically what I'm doing is I am bringing the news to where people are via just the green screen because it's easy and I don't have to be on site. So no one goes to the newspaper website or watches the news or the business journal. So I am taking the green screen approach of just, I see a headline. This is kind of cool. I think people are going to want to hear about this. So I make a video about it. And I think I got lucky. I'm not going to lie, like, because they took off very quickly. Yeah. There is a little bit of luck in there. I think I just hit it at the right time and have just been riding the wave. But that's all it is like you said, people care about what's going on in their community, but they don't care enough to go find it.
That's right.
So bring it to them. They're sitting there scrolling. Just be the guy that's at their thumb. And they're like, oh, look, new project, new development, new road. Why are they taking these fountains out? And people will engage with it because deep down, everyone thinks they're a city planner and they want to give their input.
Isn't that funny? Yeah.
It's like, I mean, that's what it comes down to. Everyone thinks that they're a city planner. They want to give their input, but no one comments on news articles in the newspaper. No one goes to that website and like goes down to the comments, but it's so easy on Instagram to voice your opinion in the comments. It's second nature for anyone.
And we'll talk about comments here in a second. Right down the street from us, a couple blocks, there's a street called Avenida Encinas, and it's kind of like the parallel street to the Coast Highway. And if you get to Palomar Airport Road, there is on like one block, there's a McDonald's, an In-N-Out, and now Chick-fil-A right next to each other. So there's a lot of congestion at this intersection. Carlsbad, I would say, our city is a mid, not custom home community, but not necessarily a track home community. Our average sales price around $2 million. And where we are in San Diego Coastal, you would consider us before you went to like Solana Beach or La Jolla, right? So if La Jolla is too expensive, Carlsbad would be like your next thing. There are a bunch of pros to being in Carlsbad over La Jolla, and there are some pros to being in La Jolla over Carlsbad. So the fast food scene here in Carlsbad is not overly friendly, right? Now, Chick-fil-A is a different type of fast food. I think if it was going to be like an Arby's or a big Subway, I think there would be a lot of unrest. But I read this interesting thing that Carlsbad only allows to have like 19 drive-thrus in the entire city. And when they approved the permit for Chick-fil-A, there were no more drive-thru permits. So they opened a Chick-fil-A, one of only like 9 in the entire country that don't have a drive-thru. And so we created a green screen video, and everybody's like, why don't they have a drive-thru? This is crazy. Oh, it must be a land issue. It wasn't a land issue. It's that Carlsbad was out of drive-thru permits. It's a law that we voted in some time ago. And they said, hey, we're not amending it. If you want to open Chick-fil-A, we'll open it for you, but there is no drive-thru. So we made a video about this, put it on Instagram. And as you probably figured out with organic content, Instagram will take your content. And if the algorithm thinks it's valid to the people you want to reach, it will test it, right? And it will test in little groups of like 25 or 50 or 100. And if it takes off, they'll do it again. And if it takes off, they'll do it again. Then they're just going to keep doing it until it falls off. And when it falls off, they'll kill it, right? So from an oxygen perspective, when you create content like this that's relevant in the market, that you know people are going to have an opinion on, that's probably, if there was a little asterisk that we could put on the screen right now, if you're creating content around stuff that people don't have an opinion on, good or bad, do not expect it to take off. It will not happen, right? Because if people don't have an opinion on it, they won't comment. If they don't comment, the post doesn't go. Somebody told me, not me directly, somebody, I think it was in our workplace account, Bill, where it's like, oh yeah, did you see Bill's video the other day? It got like 240,000 views. And I'm like, huh? So I went to the Instagram. I'm like, holy crap, he's got like multiple that have gotten 100,000 of views, right? And I think that like people are gonna be like, oh, well, it's the camera, or it's not any of that. It's you have an opinion, you're bringing people the news, and the more people comment, the more people share, the more, I mean, some of your posts, I probably should have screenshots that I could throw up on the screen. I didn't come that prepared. But some of them have crazy amounts of shares. These aren't shares that people are sending to like their husbands and wives, although that's part of it. I have to imagine, I don't know if the analytics are in there, I have to imagine that the majority of these shares are people just sharing them to their stories because they're like, this guy's talking about the very thing that I was talking about with my friend the other day. So can you walk me through, although we're never going to know, I do think there is an element of luck. But I would exchange the word luck, Bill, for timing. I think you may have hit some things at the right time.
Yeah.
But and I've watched quite a few of your videos. Every single one of them, you know, instantaneously, there is going to be somebody who's like, oh, this is awesome. And this is crazy. I'll give you one quick example before I turn this over to you. In Ocean Beach, which I don't really know anything about, it's like 25 miles south of us. It's a totally different community than where I live. You know, a much richer history than Carlsbad has. Carlsbad is still a relatively new city. Well, they're going to build a seawall to protect some corporations from like the rising water and the erosion of all the sand. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I posted it to my story saying, oh, this is amazing. I cannot tell you how many people messaged me back saying, no, this is not bad. It's 40 foot deep and it's going to disrupt sea. You know, I'm surprised as a surfer you posted this. I'm like, okay, maybe I need to read into this a little bit. And like everything else with development, you have 50% of the people that says this is going to ruin our economy or ruin our, whatever. And then 50% that's going to be the best. Do you find when you create this content, I know the answer to this, but I want you to riff on it for a second. Do you find that when you create this content, it makes more sense to just deliver the facts, or do you pick a side?
So this is a fun answer because I don't pick a side, and this was reinforced by somebody pretty high up. So I state the facts. That's it.
Yeah.
I am neutral. I say, here's what's going on. Here's the facts of this project. And then I ask for engagement. So I ask a question, what do you think of this? Is this a good idea at this intersection? Or what would you have put there if not a Chick-fil-A? Or something like guide people to the comments. Just a super simple question. Open-ended, simple question. So because of these videos, I got an email a few weeks ago from the vice president of communications for the mayor of our town saying, hey, I know it's late notice. He's having a press conference about this park project at 4:00 if you can make it. I was supposed to take my daughter to cheerleading. I texted my wife. I was like, can you take her? Because I was invited to go meet the mayor.
She said, talk to the mayor.
Go. I get there. It's me, ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox.
Stop
and
it.
Me.
That's it?
That's it. Under this overpass, talking about how this park project that's been in the works for like 15 years is finally moving forward. So I took my shot. I asked for an interview with the mayor, and I got it. So it just posted on my YouTube channel yesterday, Sunday.
Yep.
But while I was there, the mayor and his chief policy officer separately both said, we love how neutral of a stance you're taking on everything. You're just telling people what's going on. Whereas all of the other outlets and everyone else is picking a side.
That's right.
And it just reinforced, that got me in the mayor's office to sit down with him for 30 minutes and ask him questions. So I am on their radar. They're commenting on my videos. They're sharing my videos in the city account because I'm neutral. I'm not saying hey, they just did this. What the hell is the mayor doing? that I don't understand why they did this. No, I'm like, hey, this is what's happening. Let me know your thoughts. And I let everyone else pick sides in the comments because they'll be 50-50 usually. And then I don't even have to respond to comments. They just start arguing.
So I think that's the most important part. We talk a lot about content creation, especially in ads, right? I always tell people, like, you have to do one of two things. Either number one, you have to stay 100% neutral, or number two, you have to pick a side and stay there. You can't pick both sides. I mean, if the title of your video is like 9 reasons not to move to Charleston, South Carolina, you can't give the 9 reasons and then say, but if you want to live here, here are 3 reasons why you should live. You know, you can't do that because people are like, okay, this was just another like clickbaity thing, right? So, and look, there's a strategy for all of that, right? Pick a side or deliver the facts. Don't
stay in your lane.
Stay
just
there.
Stay in the lane.
But here's the funny thing, like, and you hit it straight on, is that the sides are going to be picked in the comments alone. And all comments are oxygen to social media, even bad comments, right? You can say what you want about whoever you voted for in the election. I think both of them did an equally effective job over stirring the pot over certain issues, right? And what they figured out is that the more we can stir the pot and the more that we can keep the conversation going, the more relevant or the more active we are in the conversation, whether it's good or bad. We don't care. I just need to have my name mentioned X amount of tens of millions of times to win the election. I'm sure there's a formula somewhere. Now, somebody's probably watching this or listening to this thinking like, okay, Bill, well, you got interviewed by the mayor, or you interviewed by the mayor. How many listings did that get you, right? I view marketing as something really simple. I view marketing as the more people that understand what and why you do, the more money we make. If somebody were to say, like, how do you boil down marketing in its most elementary form? I would say that if you could get 30% of your market to at least understand that when the word real estate is mentioned, your name is involved in that conversation, then you've won. Now, you can't do that in a month. It takes a while to be able to build up that level of a brand. But I think in today's economy, most real estate agents are having the conversation of like, what are the lowest funnel leads I can get my hand on, and how can I cut out all, top of funnel leads? And I think it's the wrong conversation to have. The conversation I would be having is there a media source? It could be a YouTube channel. It could be I know you have a newsletter that you're scaling right now. Could be like, I would do newsletter. That's the easiest thing to scale in almost any market at any level of experience whatsoever. But there's got to be some piece of media that, like, you have the overarching thought of like, I need to get as many people into this thing so that I can continue to tell them why I'm the only perceived choice when they think of real estate. So, and again, I didn't prep you for this.
Can I tell you some stats on this?
I was going to go right into it. Go.
While we're here. And
this is going to be wild.
Followers, it's a vanity metric, but I watch it like every 10 minutes. Not going to lie.
Sure. We all do.
So we're going to go the last 3 months. Right. The last 3 months. So since I've been doing these videos, end of August through today, I've gained 11,224 followers.
That's
I was
awesome.
at 1,400 when I started. I'm at almost 12,800 right now. But here's the stat. So I know you're an ads guy. What would you pay for in 3 months to reach 1.1 million accounts, which is 2.8 million impressions?
Okay, so let's actually, you want to get a dollar value on this? Let me get my calculator. I can do it on my watch. I can give you a dollar value on this. This is going to be wild. I'm glad you brought this up.
And
you're speaking my love language,
doing
Bill.
That is 92,536 accounts that have engagement on my channel or on my page, which is 206,000 interactions, almost 113,000 shares of my content in 3 months. Organic.
Okay, give me the total impressions that you just said. Was it 2.8 million? What was it?
Let me pull this back up. So in 3 months, 90 days, typical ad cycle, we've got impressions, 2.8 million.
Okay, so we take 2.8 million, we divide that by 1,000. That gives us 2,800. Multiply that by $54. Okay, if you're an average branding campaign right now on Facebook and you're going, CPMs are probably going to be somewhere. If you're awesome, it's going to be $20. If you're average, it's going to be around 50, right? So if we take the average number and we divide 2.8 million by 1,000, because CPM is per 1,000 views, and you spend $50 per 1,000 impressions you got, in 90 days, how much money do you think you would have spent?
more than I want to.
$151,200. And I'm an ads guy, right? So if I'm gonna go move to Charleston, South Carolina, and say I'm gonna compete with Bill, and I'm gonna buy my way into the market. Now it could go smaller. Let's say that you're amazing. Cut that in half. That's 75 grand. Have you ever divide 75 grand by 3 months? That's 30. No. That's like 27,000 something, give or take, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, have you ever spent $27,000 a month in ads before?
No. And so to put this also into perspective with my market, our city's population is only 154,000.
That's crazy.
My total market of the 3 counties that we cover is about 750,000 people. So this is in a small to mid-sized medium market. So if you're in Chicago, LA, like if you're in one of these big markets and you're doing this, you have a lot more development to work with because it's so much bigger.
Yeah.
But these numbers could be 10x if you're in a market that has that many people in it. Take that into account too. Like, yeah, these are crazy good numbers for the size of my city, but they're mostly locals too. Like at least 50% of my views come from local people. Off, everyone's going to ask like, well, how does this relate to real estate? Sean G, who's in Baton Rouge, I'm ripping him off, so I'm giving him full credit. He told me I was allowed to do this. I sign off almost every video now and don't forget to follow me. I'm Bill Olson, a local realtor, and I keep up with everything that's going on around Charleston, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
I tell them who I am, what I do, and why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's a soft sell, but the people that make it to the end of the video are seeing that every single time.
That's right.
And
is there sorry to interrupt you there. Give me like your biggest win from it. Surely you're like, whatever, and don't call me Shirley, right?
Surely you can't be serious.
Like, people recognize you in public. That's happened by now, obviously.
Every week.
And so, people, they're not coming and asking for your autograph, but like they come up to you and they're like, oh, I've seen your videos, or how does that manifest itself?
It's usually people that I see all the time, like the pharmacist.
Yeah.
Was like, hey, I just saw you on Instagram. My son's friends, like their parents.
Yeah.
Like my neighbor.
Yeah.
Like those people, like that to me is worth more than a stranger.
100%.
But people are constantly recognizing me, and that's kind of crazy. My wife gets embarrassed, but I like milk it for all it's worth.
I've been, Sharon and I have been, business partners and friends for a long time, and going on maybe, 12 years, maybe 15, I don't know. And I remember when he first started the 5 a.m. club a long time ago, when there was like 100 people on it, right? And he did it for some personal reasons, to get up early in the morning. And, it was kind of a challenge for him to do it. And he'd been doing it for a year. And we were having breakfast or lunch someplace in Orange County, talking about a launch that we were going to do for Kingston Lane. And there's a couple other funny things that happened at this lunch with a bird that one day I'll talk about. He'll, maybe I'll talk about with him on a podcast one day. And so we're sitting there, and this young, I'd say he's probably 16, 17-year-old Asian kid walks up and says, hey, are you Sharon? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, I'm on your 5 a.m. club. And, just thanks for doing that. I wake up every morning. I can't wait to listen to you. And I knew you were in the same city as me, but, they should just thank you for doing that. And Sharon's like, okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening. And like the ego, and I don't know a better word to look, of how he just inflated after that. He's like, see, I told you, man, this stuff works, right? It was a really funny thing to witness. The kid was not in the real estate space, had nothing to do with real estate whatsoever. It's just one thing led to another, and he thought he should join this. And so the power of the consistency on this, and so you may say like, well, is they ever going to monetize that relationship? I don't know, but the more people that know you will help monetize your life more than people that don't, right?
Right.
I think the other thing that maybe you're not giving yourself enough credit for is the people that you will meet in the future. Now, all of a sudden, there's like all this validity that is set in that you don't have to convince somebody why you're different. Because I have to imagine, Bill, that when you go all in with something like this, nobody's messaging you saying, great content, but how many homes did you sell last year? Like, has anybody ever brought that up to you whatsoever?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
no, but I get,
because there's a
I get
level
at least
of
3 DMs a day.
I believe it, right? And
on average, yeah.
DMs a day, meaning like they have questions around real estate, around development, or what do those come from?
I get a lot of people that are just like, thanks, I love your account, thanks for doing this. Anytime someone shares it to their stories, I thank them. Like,
yep, that's a Neil,
send them a DM.
Yep.
So I consider those in those DMs. I get agents. I would say probably 5 agents a day share my content to their clients. So like it's starting those conversations. I've gotten 1 lead from it, who she's moving back here in summer. So got that conversation going. I got a DM from a developer yesterday who's looking for land to build 20 luxury condos on. So he's emailing me his schedule so we can jump on a call and talk about the market on that. So that's a great opportunity. Got a call from some contractor who wants to have lunch to see how we can work together. Another guy talking to me, hey, I've got this project, just wanted to kind of give you a heads up. Can't tell you anything now, but when we're ready, like we want you to help us promote it. And then today, I got one from an apartment complex that's about to open, asking me like how much I charge for a post. I don't know.
Wow.
I want to talk to you about that after we stop this, because I don't know. I've never done a sponsored post. Like now I'm an influencer too. On top of this, like people are paying me to talk about their stuff. I mean, our historic foundation asked me to promote a few things for them, and they gave my wife and I tickets to 2 of their events. And I'm like, of course I'll post about it.
You know,
so we got to go to this party with an open bar.
Okay, so actually, I wasn't even going to go into that, right? And I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people, again, they start getting, and this lovely Amazon mic stand does not want to stay up. I think a lot of agents are going to go right to the, okay, good, 2.8 million views. How many deals did you do about it? And it's not about like only doing this for the deals. It's about enriching everything that you do so that with the people that you do come across, like there's no sales pitch. There's no like, well, how long have you been in the business for? Where are you? Are you a neighborhood specialist? Like, show me your trend. All that stuff goes away, because I have to imagine that if Bill's competing with a listing for somebody else, Bill has a channel that is getting millions of views at any given time. I mean, we haven't even gotten like the most exciting part yet, in my opinion. But he's getting millions of views, right? Like nobody's going to say, well, I know you understand social media. I know you understand media, but this other agent has a sign like with a light on it that's solar powered. Like, will you do that for my, like, no, that never, ever, ever comes up, right? Never, ever, ever comes up. You made a post. You sent me a message a while ago about this. It was a carousel post after you had started doing all these green screen videos. And you said, hey, there's, everything's changing in Charleston. This is changing. That's changing. This is changing, whatever. We have an email that does X, Y, and Z. If you'd like to join this email, comment below and we'll add you to it. I haven't looked at that in quite a while, but I know like within a couple of days, you had like 200 and something people register for that email. What is that? I'm assuming that's still growing. Where is that at now?
Yeah. I have to look. I'm not really sure. I think like 300 and some people have engaged with the mini chat on it. I actually made it on the airplane on my way back from the Real Broker conference.
Yep.
Just like, let me see what happens. By the time I got home, I had 80 new people sign up for my newsletter.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And we had talked about this. Like, this kind of all happened when we were discussing like me building and scaling a newsletter. So my newsletter is all about these new projects and developments in Charleston. And in there's the real estate calls to action, like
that's right.
The market reports and stuff is in that newsletter. And I know you say don't look at open rates, but I average 60 to 70% open rate every single Saturday with over 1,000 people on my newsletter, all organic.
Yeah, look, the name of the game, if you guys aren't taking this from this podcast, the name of the game is brand. And remember, brand is nothing more than how people feel about your product or service. Brand is not your colors, it's not your logos, it's not your look. Yes, that impacts the brand. Like if I show up, with a different hat on, or if I, like all that stuff impacts the brand, but the main brand is how do people feel about the service or the product that you offer, right? Or the knowledge set that you have, or what you're putting out there.
And how much
it's all
value
one
you
and the
bring.
same. Yeah, 100%, right?
Yeah.
if I'm, then I want to word this question correctly. If I'm a brand new agent, or maybe I'm an agent that I've been doing this for a long time and the old ways of what I'm doing are not working right now, and they're saying like, oh, I have to do all this for like 90 days and maybe I'll have access to like, 3 or 4 deals, maybe a development or two, maybe this, like that doesn't sound worth it. What would you say to that person?
Find another job.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're just as abrasive as I mean, you could cold call, right? But how many cold calls would you have to do to get? I mean, I couldn't even give you a number
to get in front of 1.1 million people.
That's so crazy. You know what I mean? And that's like the great thing about media is that if somebody engages with their post, there's probably a 98% chance that within 48 hours, Instagram or YouTube, whatever you're using, is going to serve them another one of your. So it's like, imagine if you could make a cold call right now, and for everybody that answered the phone, they would get an automatic cold call the next day. Like that's what media does, right? Now, can you create shitty content and expect to get 200,000? No. I mean, you could, but it's not going to go anywhere, right?
Yep.
I think this works in, you mentioned San Diego and LA earlier, and I think we should probably leave it with this. I think it will work really well in big markets. I think that the more niche the market is, the quicker it's going to take off, right? Because I think that I've only lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and well, technically Phoenix, Tempe, and Gilbert, Arizona, and then Carlsbad, California. There's only 4 places I've lived. I think that the smaller the market, the more people care. That's what I've experienced. The bigger the market, people are there because of the jobs, or they were born there, or like Phoenix, it's different now. When I lived there, there wasn't a whole lot of culture to Phoenix. Like Phoenix is just where you were born, or you got a job there. That's just kind of how the market is. I know it's totally different now. There's a complete resurgence since COVID, which is great. But people, I know in Charleston, because I've been to Charleston, are like this. I know in Carlsbad, 100% people are totally proud and excited to live here. If you're in a market like this strategy, like not only should you do it, I'm telling you, it is paramount that you do it. Bill, how many competitors in your market are doing the same thing you're doing right now?
There's one guy who's blatantly ripping off my videos, but his gets
of course he is
70 views. Like, no shitting you.
Of course he is. Of course he is, right? Because that's what we do as real estate agents. But so my point is like, and I'm sure he's probably thinking like, oh, well, if he's doing it, I can do it too. And he can. That's the beauty of this. He doesn't have to knock off Bill to do another amazing channel. But because he's doing it maybe for the wrong reasons, maybe, he's getting all these views, maybe I need to do this, and he's doing it just because he feels like he's missing out on something, you're never going to get there, right? Bill's doing this because he believes that he's doing something good for the market. He believes in the market. He lives in the market. He sells. He's all in on this, right? So for Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm putting words in your mouth. This isn't about where can I get my next lead. This is, hey, I live in this market. I love this market, and I'm sharing everything that I want to share with everybody else. And the more I do it, the more people know who I am. And maybe because a lot of people know who I am, I'll do more real estate transactions. Is that a fair way to sum up what you're doing?
Yeah. Your brand awareness and trust. And
brand
knowledge.
Awareness and trust.
People are looking at me of, wow, this guy knows everything that's going on in Charleston. I mean, some of the DMs I get are, hey, do you know what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. And you know what I do? I Google it and I respond to them.
Yeah. That's it.
For example, like I had one guy, he's like, hey, I live in a little area called James Island. He's like, hey, do you know what's going on with that lot behind Paisano's Pizza on James Island? I didn't, but I Googled it and I found out like the most recent update. I sent that to him. I said, hey, here's what I found. And I linked to the article. I didn't even pretend like I knew. I just linked to the article. I'm like, here's what's going on. And then I followed it up with, once there's more info on it, you can expect a video. Because it wasn't video worthy yet. But that's all it is. And I want to make one point. Here's my big point to everybody. Because I've made this mistake. I think we've all made this mistake. Is we're always told to what information we think the public needs to know. Don't give them what you think they need to know. Just give them what they want.
Yeah, that's right.
Is all you're doing. Like when it comes to a market report, like a real estate market report, you know how much of the population actually cares about you just like regurgitating stats? Nobody cares. And every agent, that's what they're doing. on Instagram. It's market reports. It's come look at this neighborhood, look at this house, and it's all the same stuff.
That's right.
If you follow one realtor, I mean, probably all realtors watching this, so we all follow each other and we see it all the time. But what makes you different? And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm like, hey guys, like all of this stuff relates back to real estate in one way or another. So now people look at me as the expert. I can tell my clients exactly what's going on around their house. And I'm not over here being like, so the days on market is 47 now. And what that means is come on.
So I said something the other day.
Skip.
How many times in a social circle has it ever come up? Oh, you're in real estate. Listen, did you know it's November right now? Did you know in October the days on market jumped from 15 to 27 in Carlsbad? I'd be curious to know. That has never happened to me ever. And it never will happen, because the only people that care about that are people trying to justify their price in the very moment of selling their home. We're talking a 5-minute window of their entire life. And we're still going to have to argue about it, right? A 5-minute window in their entire life is when they're going to care about this. Outside of that, nobody cares about it, right? So no, does it mean I would never talk about the market? No, because I think that, going back to your competitor that's doing this, the only thing that you need, there's 2 parts to this equation to help you get like really good at this. Number 1, you need to beat everybody on cadence. Number 2, you need to make the commitment that every video that you produce and publish should have at least something that is marginally better than the previous one. You just need to get better every time, whether it's like better content, better lighting, better audio, better whatever. Like, as long as they keep getting better and the cadence you never let up on, like, there is no competition, because what the average agent is going to do is they're going to try it once and they're going to get 21 views and they're going to be like, oh, this doesn't work in my market. I'm not going to waste my time. And boom, your competition's gone. That's it.
But
that's how this market works.
It's not just the consistency of like every day or every 2 days or whatever you want to do. It's the consistency of the look as well.
That's right.
So I'm sure everyone who's watching this has already gone to my Instagram page and seen it. What I do is behind me is 3 pictures.
Yep.
Of whatever I'm talking about. And I put myself like here.
Yep.
And I joke to Katie Day on her mastermind that I put myself here. So like when people like go to cover up my face with their thumb, they accidentally like it or share it. But what it's doing is, I'm not the focus. Here, I'm the focus.
Right.
Here, you see me. This is the focus.
Yeah, totally right.
I'm still down here with some movement. And every single one of my posts looks exactly like that.
Yeah.
So when you're scrolling and you see that, I have trained my audience that they know that's me. I'm down here. These pictures are up here. The captions are right in the middle, like 2/3 of the way up every single time. And it also makes it so much easier to make the videos, where I can go from concept to post in like 20 minutes on certain ones.
No
so
brain.
It's the consistency of branding. Like, that's my Instagram branding, is that's what it looks like. You know it's me. You know you're getting value. You're going to watch it. And then you're going to share it.
And you're recording the talking head part. You're just using Instagram natively and using your phone, the front camera, all that stuff.
No, I'm using the front camera, but I'm using the teleprompter app.
Okay.
So I just do it all in one take. Write the script, put it in there, record it, do everything else in CapCut.
Yep.
And then post it.
Oh, so you're creating the that's great. Okay, I was going to ask you that.
I have a Canva template with the 3 frames.
Perfect.
Boom, just drag the pictures there, because I can do that on my computer and then download it on my phone.
Yep.
And I'll write the script on my computer, copy it, paste it into the teleprompter app on my phone, hit record, do one take. If I screw up on a word, I keep going.
Yep.
And it's just humanizing me. And then
just cut it and post.
I don't even do that. I read through it once. If I like stumble on a word, I just keep going, because at the end of the day, I'm not going for perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And if I screw up, it doesn't seem like I'm reading it. And then I post it and I put a little caption. I have like my little bottom of it, which, follow me, keep up on the market, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, if you're looking to buy or sell, like, shoot me a DM. I have that in a note, copy it, paste it at the bottom of every description, post, tag whoever. If there's like, if I need to tag the city or a business or anything, I'll tag them. I won't do collaborations unless I have a previous relationship with them.
Yeah.
So that's a big point to make. Like, don't just start collaborating with people thinking they'll accept it.
That's right.
Unless you've already talked to them about it, but tag the hell out of everyone involved.
Yeah.
Because they'll get notifications and they'll share with their audience. And you're just sharing audiences at that point.
Look, man, it's a formula growth. Okay. I said we were going to do this for 25 minutes. We went a few minutes over, which is great because I think like my hope is that of everybody that watches this, and, we put a fair amount of paid traffic behind these podcasts. If we could get one person that's like, you know what, this Bill strategy, like he's probably onto something right now, maybe I should go execute. If one person does that, then we did our job. So I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Any parting words before we go back into the general public here?
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think it's a newsworthy story, still do it. My last little anecdote is we had our airport announced direct flights from Charleston to Bermuda. So I did a video about it. Like, I need to post something today. Whatever. This one's easy. Has almost 200,000 views, and the official Bermuda Instagram account is now responding to people in the comments.
That's awesome.
All for what I thought was just a throwaway video, just to post something. A country is responding to people. It's wild to think about.
That is crazy.
Don't overthink it. It's those little things. That's what's going to get the engagement. The ones that you don't think they will. It's like taking a fountain out. People care.
That's right. I know. It's so true. All right, Bill, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Any questions? Leave a comment down below. We'll reach out to you. Sure, if Bill has any. Bill, what's up? So everybody can come follow you on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle? It's
at the.bill.olson.
Awesome. I will link that below in the show notes. Follow Bill. Ask him whatever you want. Bill, thank you so much. See you guys on the next one.